Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and this is part 2 of the Primeweld plasma cutter in part 1, which I guess you could call redneck burning, or redneck burns up the torch, or whatever. You saw me having quite a lot of problem there, and so in the meantime, in between these two parts of the video, I called the seller, the guy that sells these things through Amazon, and we'll see how things go now that I've got some better information. Okay, let's get on with it. Well, that cut the end off of that. I had to call the factory guy, the seller, and I was immediately told that I had the ground on the wrong side, needed 65 pounds of air. And I'm also going to have to contact him for spare parts, because undoubtedly this little standoff thing, I need several of those, obviously. Alright, so I've got plenty of power, and I'm going to move up to the 1/4 inch, see how well I can cut it. Remember, this is the first time I ever cut anything. Well, that cut the end off of it. You've got to be careful here with this hose. That hot stuff is falling down there in the general vicinity of it. So let's give it another try here. So I keep my feet and the hose and everything all separate and clear. Well, to cut that off, even though I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I guess now I'll kick all the hot metal further out of the way and come around to the end here. And let's see if we can't cut this 1/2 inch a little bit. I don't know, I got to do something about my hose. Can't have the hose in it. Let me move you guys. You can't see a thing from where you're at. Think you might miss me burning off a finger or something. That'd be a shame. Alright, you can see the end of this thing, so I figure that's probably good enough. We'll give her a try. Moving too fast, it's not going all the way through. Alright, we'll try it one more time here. I'm not even staying in the same cut. big holes in this thing glowing red, but I moved too fast. It was hard for me to tell when I was cutting through and when I could sometimes see the the flames going sideways or the plasma, whatever. And I knew I wasn't cutting through then, but obviously it will cut half-inch stuff if you move it at the right speed. Because I come very close to actually doing that just then. Let's give it one more try. There we go. We cut that piece off the end of it. It's laying on the ground. So what we're going to do at this point is knock off the cutting because anything else would be anticlimactic. And I'm really happy to see that it cut that half-inch so well. You'll tell them how could it. There's a piece I cut off right down there on the floor. It's hot, believe me. It was glowing red for a second there. And yeah, my cut looks really pitiful. But the pitiful cut's not the fault of the machine, it's the fault of the operator. And I can see I'm going to mess up a lot of metal learning how to cut with it. But learn I will, Now then, we've got a little something else that I'm going to show you here. Take me a couple of minutes to get set up so you can have a fast electronic nap. Okay, so you're going to ask, what was I doing wrong that it didn't cut in the first place? Well, I'll show you exactly what was wrong. If I can get closer zoomed. I had the ground on this side, which if you read it, it shows a stick welding tool. This is the side that I should have had the ground on. So once I moved it over there, raised the air up to 65 pounds, everything started cutting. I'm really happy with this. I'm really encouraged, and I'm going to have to order some more of those little standoff things to keep the torch from, tip from setting right down on the metal. I think I saw some on Amazon already, so I'll get them on the way. Now then, anyway, while you're taking your electronic nap, I want to interrupt you again until you're ready to see the real thing. I'm going to show you something. Alright guys, you see this box? I'm going to show you some of the stuff that's in this box. First thing that's in this box looks like 3 stepper motors of a good size. This guy here, stepper motor controller, huh? There's some more in there. Circuit board for controlling all this stuff, although I've got a fancier one in the desk drawer. I'm not going to use this one, I don't think. And I'm not going to use this cable either. I'm going to hook on with USB. And we got more of the stepper controllers. And yet another stepper controller. And a power supply. So you see, you know what I'm going to do. I bet you. When I was making the grinder, I hated cutting all those shapes out and running them around with the bandsaw and grinding them into shape with a bench grinder and one thing and another. Of course, the grinder I've got now will do it 100 times faster. But I thought if I just had a buddy with a plasma cutter that I could send him the picture and he could send me all the parts, I'd have this thing done in no time. But I didn't have a buddy with a plasma cutter, and so I'm going to have to make my own. I'll be my own buddy, and I'll make my own plasma cutter, CNC plasma cutter. And I'm not going to stretch out 6 months of videos on it. I'm going to work on it in the background while I do other projects, and now and then I may give a little hint as to the progress on the plasma cutter. I heard that, Pierre. I don't know if you guys heard him. Pierre said, "Sacre bleu, this redneck, he can't even cut with a straight cut with a plasma cutter, and he's going to make a CNC." Now guys, I don't have a Bubba joke probably. They're getting harder and harder to come by. I may look through the pile and rerun one that, after all, the most of you subscribers came along after I got started. There's a whole bunch of them you probably haven't heard. Alright, this is where we're going to stop right here. Now, you said, well, you've got this 3-in-1 Primeweld machine, this stick welder and a sort of TIG welder. And the TIG welder is not going to weld aluminum because, like I said, it's not an AC, it's a DC. But it will allow me to TIG weld steel and such as that. And when I get some cover gas for it, I'll start learning how to do that. The stick welding, I don't have any welding rods for that either. And I'll probably pick up some of these aluminum welding rods because they say this thing will weld aluminum in the stick welder mode. Now then, you might ask, how did I get straightened out on where the ground was wrong? I called the guy that sold it. In a matter of minutes, he called me back, told me to send him a picture of how I had the things hooked up. He told me to move the ground wire and, you know, what other settings to have. That's great service from the seller, I can tell you that. And if the rest of the machine works like the plasma cutter does, it's going to be a success. It's going to be definitely my money's worth. I could have just bought a straight plasma cutter, but I can't do things like that. Here was a 3-in-1, so I thought, well, I can get all these other things included in the price. It's a discount on everything, kind of, really. So, you know, well, all right, enough of me shooting the bull. Let's go on to see if we got a Bubba joke. There's good old CT's new home, right there under the Red Devil, and on top of the Harbor Freight MIG welder. So, I got a lot to learn in the future here. I've got to learn how to TIG weld. I've got to refresh my memory on stick welding, and basically I've got a world of possibilities ahead of me. It's going to be a busy year. Alright, I'm going to quit coming back and bothering y'all. Bubba spent all his life living out in the woods, you know, and so he was ready to tickled to death when the local sawmill advertised for a log inspector. He gets up there and applies to the job, and so the foreman and the owner decide to take him out in the woods to see just what does he know, you know. And so the foreman stops, they go running down, bouncing down this little old logging road in the pickup truck, and they stop there, and the foreman gets out, points to a tree and says, "See that big tree over there? Just what species is it, and how many board feet of lumber does it have in it?" Bubba says, "That's a Douglas fir, 383 board feet." Well, the owner's really impressed, the foreman's impressed, you know, and so they get back in their truck, and they go driving on down another mile or so, you know, and the foreman stops, points out a big tree, and asks him the same question. Bubba says, "That's a hemlock, 285 board feet." Well, the owner's really looking impressed now, and the foreman gets to worrying there, you know, that maybe Bubba's smarter than him. He needed to do something kind of make him look bad, you know, so they drove on down the logging road a ways. Foreman stopped, points to a big tree over there and says, "Look here, Bubba," he says, "take this piece of chalk, go over there and mark the front of that tree." Bubba says, "All right." So he goes, you know, trotting off out there, and Bubba walks a circle around that tree and looks it over, puts a big old X on the tree, and come walking back. The foreman's, you know, looking at him,
Buddy says, Bubba, just what the heck makes you think that's the front of that tree? Bubba says, well, he says, on account of somebody took a dump around behind it.
Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.